Yeah. And so one simple definition of bhakti is it's the love for Ishwar. Yeah, it's the love for God. And that's what our the second sutra, for example, defines it also as Narad Bhakti Sutra. So it's not very different from again what all other religions everywhere else we say. Sa tva asmin param prem rupa. So sa is she or devotion. So there's a feminine pronoun that's used, is indeed of the nature of supreme love. So param prem. It's not supreme love towards him. Again, that is used as a pronoun, which most scholars or commentators have said as Ishwar. So let's use the word Ishwar. In fact, Vivekananda in English said, let's use the word God. Why? Yes, the God, people have misused it, maybe, etc. But yeah, there is a certain meaning. That word has a certain energy. We could use that. So Ishwar, God, Allah, whatever we want to use. So love for God, love for Ishwar. So what is Ishwar? I'm saying what is Ishwar and not who is Ishwar. What is Ishwar? Yeah. So Ishwar, as we saw in the first one, has two kinds. There is a personal version. So what does personal Ishwar mean? It means a sagun. The word uses sagun in Sanskrit, or which is with attributes. Sagun, with guna, with some attributes. Right? And what are those kinds of attributes? Those attributes can be sensual or physical, which is across the five senses. So it could be a sound. We could see it as a sound, like Om, Allah, God. Again, those are sounds. Whatever people jump on, Ram, etc. It could be touch, sensation of touch. Form, which is the most common, deity, picture, idol. Taste, smell. So all these associations, combined associations with whatever form we are seeing Ishwar as. That's one kind of sagun. The other kind of sagun are which are mental and intellectual. So if you see, the first are from Annamaya and Pranamaya, and these are from Manomaya and Vijnanamaya. So properties of the Ishwar that we attribute, that is kind, powerful, beautiful. So all those are intellectual attributes that we assign to the Ishwar. That's when we are assigning that, that's personal or sagun Ishwar. And the impersonal, which is known as nirgun, right? That is without any attributes. There is no attributes. So what does that mean? Without any attributes? It means it's beyond the mind. It's something our mind, our intellect cannot comprehend, right? It's beyond space, time, causality, because all three are created in our intellect, in our mind. And then it's indescribable, it's beyond language. Right? So as soon as we put a language to it, as soon as we put a property, even a mental property, it becomes sagun. Forget sound, form, etc. So they are all in the same category of sagun or personal. So we have personalized this nirgun, Ishwar, based on our own field, our own gunas, our own trigunas, the sattva, tamas, rajas. We will experience Ishwar in our own way, the nirgun impersonal Ishwar. So there will never be one impersonal Ishwar, because it will always be filtered by our own intellectual and mental makeup. And it is to understand this and accept this diversity of experience that's very critical in this. That will allow us the love that we have to experience with Ishwar, the oneness with Ishwar. And that's why even different philosophical systems ended up using different names for that ultimate experience. Yog, Kaivalya, Moksha, Nirvana, all different religions and different philosophers will use it, or Gyanis will use it differently. So that is Ishwar. I think we'll see it both ways, personal, impersonal. The Bhagavad Gita also talks about it quite extensively, and how we see it. Yes. Okay. Then the next question is, what is love? Because we said bhakti is love for Ishwar. So on this, there is a a chapter in the book called The Triangle of Love by Vivekananda. So we'll have it in further reading, you can go. But here I have tried to summarize that. What is love? So bhakti is love for Ishwar. We saw what do we mean by Ishwar? Personal, impersonal. What is love? Love has three components. So the first one is that there is no fear. So if there is love, there is no fear. It is without fear. If there is any fear, it cannot be love. And that fear can be of losing somebody, fear of pain, misery, unpleasant, fear of becoming second. So if there is an element of that fear, then that love has gotten a little adulterated. It is a form of love, and we'll come to that. But there is mixture, and that's what happens a lot today, right? I'm seeing a lot of smiling faces, Shanti, immediately. Yeah. Yeah, this is something I'm sure everyone has experienced with love, and how fear plays such an important thing. We say we love, so we use the word love so very casually now, right? With things, with people, and so often it is actually driven by actually just this, the fear of losing that object, the fear of losing the person, the fear of losing a relationship, and that sort of vitiates it in some ways. It doesn't stay true, and it doesn't stay hence to its full potential as well, or what that love could be. And here we are talking of love for Ishwar, but it is linked with human emotions as well. So we'll come to that. That's why it is the same love. The love doesn't have two forms. For Ishwar, something else, and for a human, something else. Love is love. So we experience parts of it in some form. We see versions of it. So the love for Ishwar, finally, the highest level. Remember, Bhakti also has levels. So highest level is without fear. That's the first critical part about love. The second is that it's for its own sake. Love is love. It's for love itself. There is no exchange, no reason, no benefit. There is no transaction. There is no trade. So this model of bhakti today that happens that, oh, we go to the temple, I'll give me this, I will do this. That is going on, right? I will put 100, I'll put 1,000 rupees, or I'll feed 1,000 people, but give me this back in return. Yeah. So that exchange that is happening today in temples or any other holy place, etc. That's not love for Ishwar. But that's also, that happens again in our human emotions, our human transactions as well with people. People we think we love, there is an exchange. There is this whole thing a lot of times around need. We are fulfilling each other's needs, for example. Right?
Sandeep, you're on mute.
You got muted.
How did that happen? Sorry. When did I go on mute?
Just like a few seconds back.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know how that happened. Maybe. I think somebody muted all. Maybe.
My bad. Yeah, there was some noise, so I was trying to mute that out.
Yeah. The super host, the god of this meeting. Yeah. So I think it's not wrong or right, but it's, I think, just to recognize that what this love is all about, the love at least of bhakti. And I think we practice it, we experience it in our daily life with people around us. So it's important to also recognize that on what it is and what it is not. Yeah. So without fear, no transaction, for its own sake, very critical. And lastly, it is one-pointed. Ek nishtha, as was there, Ishta nishtha. There is one object of supreme love. Because through the process of bhakti, we become one with that Ishwar. The goal is again, that's it, right? We become one. So whatever we are devoted to, we become that. That is what devotional bhakti is. Whatever we choose as our object, we will become that. That is the law of devotion, law of bhakti. And that's, I think, in modern forms, it says whatever we think of, we contemplate on, we become that, or that becomes a reality. But that's where the law of bhakti is. Whatever we love with that one pointedness, we will become that. We will assume that. So if you remember again from Raj Yoga, Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi, whatever we take as that object where we are doing Dharana, Dhyan, and we have Samadhi, we become that object. We become that object. So that's what even here, similar principle around. Whatever we love with that intensity. So it's very important to stay one-pointed, not change. Because when we are changing, it's coming from a lot from fear. This God did not help me, let me change my God. Right? This path didn't work, so let me choose a different path. The important thing is stick with the same path. That is love. That is the love for Ishwar. When we are able to stay with that same one path, not keep changing paths. Pick one, stay with that. Because all paths lead us to the same place. They will look different. The experiences will be different on the way. They'll get you there as long as our goal is clear. Yeah. That's hence we have understood bhakti as love for Ishwar. So what is love? What is Ishwar? These two things. It is the foundation is there. So the next level, introducing. So what is Bhakti Yog? Bhakti Yog is the process of transforming all our emotions to the supreme love for Ishwar. So supreme love for Ishwar that's the ultimate goal where we want to get to. That's the highest level. How do we do it? By transforming all our emotions. So we work with our emotions. Love is that whole unit, the anchor in Vigyanmay Kosh. But in our field, in our day-to-day life, we experience it as emotions. So what are emotions? So emotions are bundles of energy that drive our behavior. Emotions is the source of our behavior, right? That's what even psychology, modern science is saying. Emotions drive our behavior. A lot of times we don't know what we do because it's driven by emotions. So looking at it slightly deeper, all emotions are essentially deviations of our original state of love caused by the three gunas. So there is only one emotion, one true emotion, that's love. And that's why I said when love gets deviated by fear, all the fear we experience it in different ways. It's the fear of losing that comes from love. It's a deviation caused by tamas, sattva, rajas in some form, which are there. So when that chitta vritti happens, or when all the emotions normalize, they will become one homogeneous mass of just love. That's why end of all wisdom is love. So love is the only emotion, and others are deviations from it. So when we experience an emotion, it is a form of love. So that's why I say there's nothing wrong. It is a form of love. We just recognize that it's not the love that is love. So when we try and do a transaction in love, that is also kind of love. There is fear in love. So it's all seeking that one love, which are deviations due to the three gunas. And that allows us to understand what is happening with us, what is causing this kind of deviation, introspect, and move us towards more and more love. This is like the outside in process here, where in our field we are experiencing emotions and we want to understand that. There are a lot of tools here. We won't be able to get into them more specifically. We'll use a different tool though here. Practically, hence, every emotion has a different chemistry. Again, science is beginning to establish this more and more, right? That oxytocin, one of the chemicals, means certain things, right? Adrenaline is stress, right? Even anandamide is the latest one, which is around anand, bliss, the emotion of bliss. That's the chemical. So there is a certain chemistry that every emotion has. And when we experience that regularly, a similar chemistry or a similar emotion, be it fear, anything, and even the positive ones, same way, the other way. If we start experiencing peace, love, etc., it creates patterns in our nervous system. So then it becomes an automatic system, an automatic way of working, almost our reflex on responding. That's why we say this was a trigger. What triggered? The nervous system triggered. But something triggered because there was a nervous system pattern, because it was associated with past emotions, which created that pathway in our system. But that pathway is also a deviation of love. So if you understand that pathway, we can change that pathway. That's the beauty about our nervous system, that while it becomes set, it also can evolve. It's the one thing which changes and can change reasonably quickly compared to many of our other systems. Our musculoskeletal system doesn't change that easily, but our nervous system is able to change if we allow it to change. So emotions create this chemistry, and with that chemistry, it then becomes more solid. Chemistry is temporary, but it becomes, with repeated experience of the same emotion, it becomes a neural pattern. So it becomes a pattern. And this holds true for fear, anger, but also for gratitude, love, and joy, happiness, those as well. So it's a chemistry which we create. It's in our hands. That's what emotions are. And hence there are two kinds. I'm broadly categorizing. There are so many, but just broadly, there are pleasant emotions and there are unpleasant ones. Pleasant are those which create a chemistry which is favorable for our well-being. Means it takes us towards our goal of yoga. Favorable means takes us towards our goal of yoga. So it makes our physiology healthy. It makes our mind in some ways healthy, stable. It's taking us to that state of chitta vritti or state of love for Ishwar, supreme love for Ishwar. So so these are emotions closer and closer to love, and they are driven by sattva, illuminating, and the others are driven by tamas and rajas. But again, as we said, they are important. That's what we have to transform. If we have emotions with tamas latent in us, they will stay. We will not reach the same chitta vritti. So we have to use rajas to transform the tamas to sattva. But just recognizing that when we are experiencing some of those emotions, this is what is happening. Just simply, and we have to convert them to love. And that's where Jesus Christ says, love your enemies. Because loving your friends or people who love you is so easy, but love your enemies. That's where transformation will happen. That's how we transform our emotions to love. Anchor in love. And lastly, what we said, our behaviors are consciously and subconsciously driven by our emotions. We usually seek pleasant and avoid unpleasant ones, but sometimes the neural patterns become very strong, right? So it becomes a tussle between our mind and our body, because there is tamas. Tamas has that strong power. So if it's come in the neural pattern, sometimes it will repeat even without us not wanting it consciously. But that's the subconsciously part that's happening. So it will happen. So we have to bring that subconscious into our conscious and transform it. Yes. So this is how emotions are seen and what emotions are. So in short, emotions are deviations of love. I think just see it that way. And our job is to convert them into love, to this love for Ishwar. And Ishwar is the object that we can use for Ishwar or whatever we want to use, personal, impersonal, as I said, all forms, to help in this transformation process. Yes.